comparable to the. So sure.
Yeah. What's gonna cost $2 trillion?
I don't know. I think they were talking about some man-made islands.
Oh,
Middle East.
crazy.
You use Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code?
I use excuse me. I like to use Visual Studio, but I use Visual Studio Code right now. I like Visual Studio for regular C#, but I don't have a license to it right now, so I'm using VS Code for work. Why? What's up?
I think I want to commit 40 hours to learning Rust.
Not TypeScript. No, VS Code's a good editor. It's really good for JavaScript. It's not bad.
The question is, Rust for Visual Studio Code powered by. This says deprecated. Is extensions for?
Well, click on it, and it might be that it's that Rust Analyzer might be the one above it. Yeah, that's what it is. If you look at it, 3.3 million downloads, 5 stars. Yeah, that's got to be it.
Have you ever written a board game?
Have I ever
like
written
checkers or chess or anything like that? Have you ever tried to do a kata like that?
I think I've played. I think I might have done checkers before. I've done. I did Yahtzee a long time ago, like as a college project. I've obviously written games, but not ones that were defined. Poker, maybe.
Do you remember your design for your checkers game?
No. Oh, and Masterminds. It's a game. It's kind of a fun one. But no, I got no idea. I mean, I'd have an array of that represents the board probably, or not like a multi-dimensional array of some probably like optional struct that represents the checker, and I don't know, color and all that.
Which one is which? Should I try this one since it's at the top of the list? It's 5 stars and
Between
it
which
said
ones?
322,000.
For what? I mean,
so I can't download this Rust because I'm getting all these errors that I don't feel like trying to figure out.
oh, error while installing Rust extension. No, I mean that'd be the one. What does it say? Please log for more details. What does it say in the log?
I don't know. I'll quit. It's too complicated.
No, it's not. Again, one.
Where's the F chart? Should I go to test? Have you tried Maui yet?
Oh,
you don't.
Man, I
You
haven't
never.
written XAML in a long ass time.
I don't know anybody that does MS Test. MS Test isn't that bad. It's just
I
for
like
whatever
MS
reason.
Test.
Yeah, for whatever reason, it's just not. It's not considered cool.
I don't know. I would always pick MS Test, but I can't remember if they got things like I don't know that I don't know why people don't like it.
Oh, do we go TDD or do
Yeah.
we do domain modeling? Which one? I'm so used to using a MacBook that now I can't remember my shortcut on a normal PC. Oh my god, this is annoying. There's actually a right click button now. That's why they gave me a MacBook, and all the development is in Windows.
Yeah. I've worked at places where they let you pick your thing and then they do. Well, I mean, I don't know why would it have to be in Windows though. It shouldn't have to be. You can do most .NET development on Mac.
I don't want to use Mac. I'm sure it's
Yeah.
a superior hardware, but I like the user experience of Windows because that's what I've been accustomed to.
Yeah. I think I told someone that I was like, you could give me a Mac, but I'm gonna take like weeks to be or months to be productive in it because the
Yeah.
paradigms are different. It's the same reason why you wouldn't hire me to be like a freaking Rust programmer because I've never done anything with it. I'm not gonna be, I could learn it, but I'm not gonna be efficient in it. Start.
There's a
It's
pretty
just
good
so.
argument for it. I was binge listening Russ YouTube episode or YouTube videos a couple of days ago, and something that kind of sold me on it was it's a it's a programming language that you can do low level programming or system programming as well as business apps,
Yeah.
and that's kind of attractive because I mean I still would like to end my career in like aerospace. If I had a choice, building like some firmware applications, and Rust seems like the gateway to it. Um, I don't mesh well with C++.
Yeah, I don't know anyone. I don't know. People like C plus. Some people must like C plus plus. I feel like
They're dorks.
it's painful. I like C, like regular old C, because it's simple. It's very simple. But C plus plus, there's just so much shit in it.
Standard template library.
Yeah.
Yes, and all you have like 3 to 5 different types of pointers. Smart pointer. What's the other one?
Yeah, there's just too much. Too much to know.
All right. So if I were building a game, let's say I wanted to build chess, but that's way too complicated. So I would start with the basics, and I would build a game board.
I don't think it's too complicated. It's the same. It's
Chess.
to build the game. Like all the pieces are rules are fairly simple. A pawn moves forward, attacks sideways. If you're on your first move, you can move two. It's like target has to be open. There's got to be nothing in your way. I don't. I
So
mean,
you have a operation called move, and it takes 2 pieces.
why would it take two pieces?
Oh, yeah, I think. Yeah, you're right.
Because it would take like a piece in a target location, right? Because this is my piece that I want to move, and here's where I want to move it to, or like a board thing. Like I don't remember. Like chess has got those positions. Like if you think about the way they talk about it, it's like pawn to rook 4 or something like that. You know what I mean? Or
We're
pawn
assuming
to
that.
queen, blah blah blah. The board's written out like a.
Is it fair to say that a piece has to be on a location, and the only other location, yeah, like you. No, let me start over. You can't move a piece that doesn't already have an allocated location, right?
You can't move a piece that doesn't have an already allocated location.
Meaning that I can't have a piece in my pocket and immediately just
Oh
perform
yeah,
a move operation to D2.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Although pieces, the one exception to that would be the piece that's you'd have a special location to handle off the board, because when you move your pawn to the end, you can replace it, right, with the queen or whatever. So, or like a piece you lost.
Why does peace look like it's spelled wrong? How do you spell peace?
P-A-C-E. Give it a chance, man. No, I don't know.
Is this how you spell peace?
It looks correct to me, although it does look weird, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
I don't know. Every once in a while, but no, if you
Hey,
spell it the other way,
gambler.
it looks a lot weirder. So
Yeah, I guess I'm right. Okay.
yeah.
So
High C.
the game board has a move operation. Mm, okay. What's the location? Hold up. Now I gotta add my language file. Feel free to
What is
say
it? Um.
feel free to say that Scott, this is stupid. I want to talk about manosphere stuff or whatever.
Yeah. So does the boards A through whatever and then 1 through whatever, or I always thought they go like queen to bishop's 10 or something like that,
I
well, no,
think
because then you'd have
it's
mirrored
you
pieces.
have you have files and ranks. A file is up and down, vertical. A rank is
Yeah.
horizontal, and it's. I thought it was 1 through 8, A through H. I think.
Okay. I've never really looked at the way that those work like that. Chessboard grid layout. Here we go. Yeah, it's A through H and 1 through 8. Black is on the 8 and the white is on the 1.
Oh, what is a location?
Well, what would you call? I mean, I would think of it as like a.
That's a good question, right? Because it could be a couple things. We're going to assume that this game board is a traditional board. We're okay. So this game board is intended for chess. So we're going to say that a location has a color for now. I know a color isn't like a fundamental property, but I think it could be helpful. Because, well, yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Man, Sean, like, you're making things too complicated.
Hmm?
I
No,
said you're making things too complicated.
does a piece have a location, or does a location have a piece?
If I say black and white, then that's kind of hard coded, and game board is no longer flexible, so it should just be a string, right?
What do you mean it's no longer
Okay.
flexible?
Because I could say I want to play checkers now, but there's no chessboard that has black and red. Checkers is black and red, right? So
Yeah, it's just
who's
say dark and
making
light, because it will be a dark and light color.
red is not dark or light on the checkers board,
Well, it's lighter than dark. One's darker than the other.
but red is not light. I
Lighter,
think
darker than
I think leaving it to
shade.
interpretation, thus being a string, is probably
Shade, but then it can be anything. It could be purple, it could be blue
yeah. That's the
and
point.
red and white.
Our
Every
interpreter,
tile could be different.
our
Or every
interpreter, our interpreter will interpret what the color is, which is a separate library. Like we're building the specification. Let me scroll to this. I hate. So I'm so used to using a MacBook now. Hold up. Why you do this? Come here. All right. So we're building the specification library. There will be a second library that interprets the specification, and it'll resolve what a color means. Does that kind of make sense at a high level? You're like,
No.
no.
I bet I don't know. Maybe it doesn't even matter in this. Like, I suppose it would matter for rendering, but for the nature of chess or checkers, it doesn't matter, does it?
Well, that's the thing. I want it to be
It's more of a
extendable.
visual. It's more of a visual element for human stuff. So it could be completely just a visual, unless there's some rules in chess or checkers that I'm not aware of that the tile colors matter.
All right. Should there be a color at all, or is it
I
just
don't think
player?
I don't think it matters at all. Location.
So what if we set this? Oh, shoot.
And I don't even know if a piece has a location. I mean, a piece is on the board in a location, but the board has the piece, right? So I don't know, man.
Is player better than color to identify the location?
No.
Okay, how would you do things, Sean?
I mean, if I was modeling this out, I mean, I would have the board be I would think about the board first, and I would literally just have the board be a multi-dimensional array of I don't know, tiles, or what you'd call them, squares, which optionally contains a piece, and that's it. And it has like a location on it, or like a coordinate on it. Coordinates would probably be the thing I would use to describe it, because you can do lookups on coordinates. So
Well, I'm not gonna do multi-dimensional arrays because I'm scared of it.
dictionary then. I actually use dictionaries a lot for grids because they're a lot safer to do bounds checking on. They're a lot easier to do bounds checking on when you're moving.
Okay, but for right now, a piece has a location. A location doesn't have a dictionary in it, does it? A dictionary
No, I don't
maintains
think
locations.
I don't even think a piece has a location. A location or a square on a grid has a piece on
The
it.
scope is a game board. That's context. That's the scope.
Okay, so
You're
you're
saying
in.
that
Yeah, a location would contain some sort of piece, not not the other way around. Like, you could say a piece is at a location, and but it doesn't have a location. I mean, well, it sort of does, but
I think I see what you're
it
saying.
depends on which way you want to structure how. Do you want the pieces to keep track of where they live, or do you want the board to keep track of where the pieces are? That's the way it is. I think
Well,
it's easier to actually have the board track where the pieces are. Now, depending on if you do like,
when you're doing analysis, when you're doing analysis of a game, wouldn't it be easier within domain terms to refer to a piece versus a location? So and so moves piece to whatever coordinate or location.
yeah, move piece to whatever location. So then you find where the piece is on the board. You know which the location of the piece is. Your piece is like located based on its position on the board. Like, you use the board as the atlas for it, right? And so the piece, if you just looked at a piece, you couldn't actually know what a location is, right?
Let me see.
File 1, file 2, file 3. Oh yeah, ranks and files, you're saying.
I never thought it would take 10 minutes to discuss what a piece is.
Well,
I can,
yeah.
I can only imagine with like government jobs doing like aerospace, how long they spend talking about a screw. Has Gambler said anything yet? Oh,
He says, "Who cares? Build chess first."
Crap.
Who cares?
Mm. Uh, And then I think it's 8, right? Man, I'm having a hard time adjusting to my personal laptop keyboard. So that's file, and I thought rank is
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. I don't know. It's 1 through 8, A through H. HP. That's how the British say HP. They go H, or I don't know, HP. Herbs.
how's your dog doing?
Oh, he's all right.
It's twice the size now.
Yeah, he's pretty big. Not as big as I thought he would be, but
Is it rank and file? Do we care about the order? I don't know.
oh, maybe it shouldn't be a location. Maybe a square. A square has a rank and file.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they actually call them in the chess nomenclature. What is a square called in chess? I'll ask ChatGPT. What is a square called in chess?
It's called square.
A square is referred to as a square.
It's a letter and file and the number of the rank.
Yeah. So you should be able to know, like, when you move a piece from one square to another, you should be able to document its rank and file. So a square has a rank and file. And optionally contains a piece. Or hosts a piece, I guess would be another way to say it. Or is occupied by. So you could have occupy, if board square is occupied by pawn.
Is material only after? Is material? Oh crap.
Material. I thought you wanted to make checkers on this too, though.
In chess, material refers to the number of pieces and pawns on the board. So I think it's just easier to revert back to piece. Ah, shoot. And make it a string. Oh no, it's not a string. I'm getting stuck, Sean. So a piece could be like a black checker or a red checker, but within the scope of chess, it could be a knight, a bishop. Oh yeah. Okay. No.
A piece is either a chess piece or a checker piece, but maybe, or some other piece, but
Maybe I should just scope it to chess to make things easier and more congruent.
sure. Then it's called a chess piece. But now your name could be anything, though. You could even be Steve or Gamble.
Yeah. That's an issue. Get rid of that.
I think a
I did
piece
not
has
think.
to be. I think a location has to own a piece. And here's the reason why, because you need to also have like whatever you would call the throwaway pile. It also needs to contain pieces, so you know which pieces are in the throwaway and which ones are in the on the board. So
A loc. Say your first sentence one more time. You think a location needs to own a piece?
and not the other way around, because a piece can exist outside of a location. Because when you capture a piece, you put it in your pile, right? But
Oh
as soon as
yeah.
you reach your pond to the other side, you can recover that piece from that pile. And
So what do
so
you want me to do to this right here?
I would just have the pieces be the pieces, and then the location or the squares be the actual thing that holds it. So a location can have it or not, and then your throwaway pile can have multiples. I don't know what you would call it, a pile. Uh, your material possessions. I don't know. Right?
All right. Sorry. So your location can have, or like I don't think this should be touched, right? And I don't know if that's what you said. You can have a piece location,
Well, a location is a slot. I mean, is really what it
right?
is, right?
Yeah.
A location is probably a bad term because it's more like an addressing thing. But you'd have a game board slot. That slot has position or a location, but it also contains, So maybe I don't
Is
know.
that
Maybe
better?
you need like a yeah, and maybe you need something called a square that has a position but also holds a piece, because that's what it does. It holds the piece. The piece doesn't hold it. I mean, it's positioned on it.
Well,
But
a
a piece
position
can
has
also
a
be positioned
piece.
off the board, so I guess I don't know.
A position has a piece.
Yeah, a square would have a piece, yeah. Sure. Yeah, it's got its location on the board, and then it's got a piece that it holds. But optionally, it has maybe a piece. Or so it's either empty or it's got a piece in it.
I still don't like this.
Peace option. That's like what they're putting in front of the Palestinians. The Palestinians are rejecting.
Can we just have two separate position will always have a piece and then a square doesn't? Or is that too man, I didn't think that this would be so
I don't know. I mean, I guess, like I said, I'd probably
tedious.
model it as like a square has a location or a rank and file, and it's optionally got a piece. That's what it. I mean,
Okay.
depending on what are you gonna do when you query the game board for display? You've got a game board state, and you've got within that all the positions in an array or just in some sort of collection, right? And in all those squares, you would have to know where they are physically on the board so you can, outline them in the display. And then you also need to know if they contain a piece, right? So I
Okay.
guess if you were querying all the piece positions, you would go to the game board, query all positions that have piece, and then get rank and file, and then you could. But now the piece does have to have a side though, like you said, you didn't want to use color, but it does need to have is it a white piece or a black piece for chess? Or is it red or black checker? So, but I guess you could say that it's like player, because it could be, well, with chess for sure, it's player one, player two, white and black, right? they're like the order of who goes first.
Everything has a. Does everything have a color? Piece name. I'll just say description.
I mean, pieces also have It's really about who's the owner of it. I guess you could have it modeled that way too.
So for example, this could be bishop, and then this could be black. That's the thought process.
Yeah, or you could have the owner, like the player, be the black or the white player, and the piece have an owner. Or the player. The piece belongs.
You think an owner should be tightly coupled to a piece, or you're just doing a brain dump?
I'm just thinking out loud. Yeah. I mean, because I don't know. Is there ever a world where a no, they don't really. You don't really capture and use the other person's piece.
Yeah, if you're about to pull a drive by.
They see me rolling. They hating.
Hand me that piece. Blah blah. So layout has a sequence. A sequence is essentially IEnumerable. That's what it equates to. Layout has a sequence of pieces. Or do I literally put 60? I'm not going to put 64 pieces, copy paste. I'm not going to do this.
Why would you have a layout?
This is your board, your game board layout. You're saying why?
Wouldn't it be the positions that your layout has? And layouts derived from the board state? I don't know. I guess
Oh, yeah, you're right.
I'm having trouble with the idea.
You're right. You're right.
You're right. I would call a game board as being I would think of the game board being a collection of squares, which may or may not contain a may or may not contain a piece. And so, like the start of your game, you would have, you'd create a game board with all the pieces in their starting locations, or positions, or squares on their starting squares, according to the rules. And then,
So you have a piece, position, layout. If we go back to our specification, or actually, this probably should be renamed to operations, right?
Yeah.
Then you have a move operation. Your move operation. When you have a move operation, it has to have a piece. So it doesn't make sense to have position in here. Like that adds complexity because now you have a condition that you have to figure out or resolve. So
what do you mean?
When you move something, there should be no question about does a piece exist for you to move it? Which we want to move from one position to another. You understand what I'm saying? Like, if you want to move, we shouldn't have to.
So if you pass, so if you pass a position and then to another position, so you go. Your arguments would be position, like from position to position, then who the like I said, owner or player is. Then that's all you need to determine whether it's a valid move. Because you can get the position you're on. So that's your from. You can validate that the piece matches the player. You can determine that the piece exists for the player to move. you can then look at the target position and determine based on its rank and file if it's in a valid position for that piece to move. The only trick is if you're going to do checkers, that's a little different because then you'd have to consider pieces that are in between where you're moving because you either move it forward or diagonal, right? So in that case, you'd have to know a broader state of the board. You'd also have to include the board to query.
Is it allocated position, field position, held position? How about that?
Yeah, I guess if you're doing occupied, held, yeah. Yeah.
So you move from a held. Oh shoot! Come here. Open. Come here. Open. Language.
So you're going from a held position to an open position then.
Oh,
right?
you're smart. And that's going to result in a
New game board state, but I mean you don't have the whole game board with you, so
is it a
yeah.
new layout or is it a new
No, I
held
suppose it'd
position?
be your new held position based on, and then you'd replace it in your game state. Yeah, you're right.
I don't know if I'm right because you have a point. The scope is a board. Do we really care about the position or do we care about the board state, the state of the board? I think you're right. You understand what I'm trying to say? No.
Yeah, I think so.
And it sounds like you were still right initially about a position having an optional piece, but it just needs to have a different. This is a different type. Um, this is just position. So like, I don't know if it should be position or position state. Leave it position. So then your layout has this.
So you have to start with your layout. You have to maybe move as its own thing. Like a move request type of thing, or like I don't know, because it's hard to say with a verb, but it's like your move has to be evaluated for validity. So you could have an invalid move. Interesting too is that in a castle, it's a move that involves multiple pieces, right? So it's not even your target position, open position.
What about this?
I mean, I would call it just a move. I mean, that's and then I don't know, your operation is executing the move. I know execute move sounds stupid, but that's what it is. The move itself is its own conceptual, like it's a conceptual thing. It's not a physical thing, but it's a construct. Like I said, otherwise your castle is going to be your problem then, right? If you're castling your pieces, your move is to castle, right? And that involves an entire sequence of things that happen with multiple pieces.
which would result to our layout here. So that works out, right?
So you have to, so you'd have to you start with your layout, your existing layout. You then apply a move to that layout, which produces a new layout. So I would say
Oh,
layout.
yeah.
Your
That's so
result is
smart.
layout. Yeah, and so then it's so it'd be something like execute on this layout a castle move or a regular or a pawn move or whatever, and your move has your held position and your open position. Well, no, it can't even do that because castles. I guess you could have a move as a standard move or a castle, right? It's got to be one of those two because you're going to have to deal with the castle at some point.
Your move has a held position and then position.
And not only that, I suppose.
Well, yeah, position's right because you can move to I mean, you could capture a piece, right?
Yeah. Now, I suppose too that if you think about it, and I don't know, maybe this goes into the sequence of it, but is exchanging your piece that you get to the other side of the board part of the move, or is that a second step after the move? Like you execute the move,
No.
then you do a swap. So I guess it would be optional. It'd be based on the game state. You then have to.
So you have layout and then you have material. Your material is essentially going to be between the two players.
That only describes Madonna, man.
Material?
Yeah.
There's a song called Material.
She's a material girl living in a material world.
Wah, wah, wah.
Well, I don't know. Yeah.
So I'm doing a brain dump. Like you have material between two players, and that's going to be. It's just going to be pieces that you have that you've captured.
Yeah, your side pieces.
Yeah.
I captured your queen. Look at my side piece.
Fully jumps.
I'm tired. My dog woke up at like 4 o'clock and was like, "I want out." So I'm out, but now I'm all tired.
So when you do a move, I think you're right. Oh, no, wrong.
A move is
part.
like
is
like an operation. Like it's like but it's like a defined thing, right? It's I want to move my player from blah 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 to blah blah blah. Or it's not a move like that in that sense of like there's a target position or whatever, because like the castle is a special move, right? It's just non-standard.
Hold up, give me a second.
It's a valid move. So you have a move that gets turned into a valid move that then gets passed into the layout to execute move. Because you can't execute a non-whatever. And what about toppling your king? That's a move. Is it? No, not really.
You're saying this position should be? I should create a target position.
Well, no. So that held position to like a. Well, it's an open position, right? That's a. I guess if you're doing the optional thing, then it's just position to position, right? But if I mean, like I said, think of the castle. Is all I'm saying. Think of how that move works, and it doesn't follow the rules of the other types of moves. So you have to have subclassing of
which is why we okay. Let me focus on what you're saying. So to move, you go from a held position to a position, and you're saying that it in a castle, it's no longer one piece that changes position. It's two.
Yeah, it's two pieces
So
moving. It's a
yeah,
compound
but
move.
yeah, but that's fine because
And it's also named too.
no. It's fine because we could just treat a castle as two separate moves. The interpreter can manage that.
Oh, I guess if you're talking about a move being a physical move, then yeah, you're right.
Yeah, the interpreter of the specification can manage
Then you don't even
a
need a held
castle.
position to a position. You just need position to position, and the interpreter can interpret that there's no piece here, so this is not a valid move. I mean,
No,
if it
hold
can
up.
interpret that there's that two pieces need to move. I mean,
Hold
if
up.
you're
I'm trying to process what you just said.
yeah, go ahead.
So you're moving your queen two positions to the left or two positions to the right, and the consequence of that is your rook is also going to move. Your held position, I can't visualize it in my head what what this means for held position if this is invalid or not or illegal.
No, your held position would be right. It's the target that may be invalid or not, right? Although with the held position, it could be that it's not your color. It's not your piece. It's getting you're overcomplicating this, man. I should do it on the side.
The whole point of position is you can move a piece to capture another piece at the designated location. So
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense. This is where my piece is and this is where I want to move it.
All right.
And but something's going to validate whether that's good. So your resultant layout state could be no change to the layout because it's invalid, but I don't know how you would communicate that back without also providing some sort of like update. Plus the layout, not only that, but your layout, your material might get updated too if you execute a move that causes a capture. So your
Yeah. So like this is or not. Sorry. Hold up.
so yeah, your game
This
state.
is just going to be your game. Call
Yeah.
it game state.
Yeah, I mean I always call it like you move from one game state to another. So it's not even your layout. It's you start with a game state and you move, and then it produces a new game state. Because your move might contain a piece from the material. If you're, I guess I wouldn't. Maybe that's not a move then. Thinking about like what happens when you. Well, no, you could say it. You move your material from the material to back to your game state, like your board, if you've captured that last piece with your pawn, that last location, right? So
I think this is straight. I didn't know that operations would literally just have one operation. Does it? Oh no.
now with castle, you can't express castle with your move as it is.
Yeah, but an interpreter will treat a castle as two separate moves. That's fine.
Oh, okay. Oh, I guess
Yeah,
I get what you're saying is that
this is the
physically
spec.
you move, you have your material sequence, then you've got your board's position. Your move is literally taking pieces and moving them. That's all you do in chess is move pieces around the board, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess. I'm seeing what you're putting down now. I was thinking about like how you make this so that you can't, from a tight position can't do anything wrong. But you're doing that later with something else.
For me, the paradigm that I use to build stuff is I have a set of hard rules, aka a policy for how something should work, and then I build a separate interpreter to basically interpret what those rules are, and it's up to the interpreter to decide how things are going to work out while still complying with those initial rules.
Sounds very object oriented, man.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not full-fledged functional, but
You're functional first.
why does forfeit look like it's spelled wrong? I keep doubting my spelling.
You know that old saying, I before E except after C? That's been disproved by science.
No, the saying what?
The old saying, I before E except after C? That's
No, I never heard
disproved
that
by
before.
science. You never heard that saying, I before E except after C?
No, I'm not from Minnesota.
I don't think that's a Minnesota thing. I think that's a general thing. Gamlar, are you still there? I don't know if I assume English.
He got bored.
Language. He's like, why are you building chess? I before E except after C. Is that a phrase you've ever heard? Yes, question mark might be too. Yeah, okay. I before E except after C. I before E except after C. It's like
I keep saying it.
It's like a grammar rule. I before E except after C is a mnemonic rule of thumb for English. It's like like Merriam-Webster has the famous, but it's wrong. Like I said, it's disproved by science. There, it's a real thing though. But yeah, the disproved by science thing is a joke because science is spelled with I before E after C. So.
I tapped out. You keep saying the same acronym or letters. I'm like, I have no clue what you're talking.
Yeah. Well, peace. You look at peace. It's I before E. Cause it's not after C, but it's yeah.
What are you? I before E, and then you said after C.
What?
I don't know what you're talking about.
So when you're spelling a word like peace,
Okay.
the I comes before the E.
Yeah.
That's the rule, right?
Yeah.
So the mnemonic device that gets used to teach that
Oh,
is
okay.
that I
All right.
comes before E, except when it comes after a C. But it's only a general, like there's so many cases where it's wrong.
Mm.
But that's the kind of like thing. So I think it's like there, for instance, maybe is that. I think that's not even
You're talking
right.
about pronouns.
Yeah, because E comes before I on there, so I don't know why it's not even useful, but it exists. It's a thing.
Yeah, I never cared that much. It's but I can't spell it all. When I write emails, I always find myself having to go through spell check. I can't spell the word similar. I can't spell it. No matter how many times I look it up,
Similar.
I keep forgetting.
Similar?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a hard one because
I'm
it's
like
like
simular,
SIMILIAR. Is that it? Similar? Similar? Yeah, I
I
don't
always
know.
have to look it up. Similar and the word occur. Like
Similar. 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 You know what?
oh,
Wrong. Do you know
Your
what word I
forfeit.
typo almost all the time, which is really painful?
What's up?
Is filter. I spell it Fitler. Like maybe 50% of the time when I'm typing filter, I write Fitler.
Oh,
I don't know why. I just want to put that L and T in the wrong spot. So
we forgot to add player for when they
Fitler.
tap out and forfeit. A player has.
Well, this you can't be in this game because it only has players. Just fucking
So
stupid.
I was gonna say, was
I'm
that
so
a joke?
tired. Yeah, it was dumb. That was a stretch too. You got to be a player. Player's gonna play.
Uh, so a player has. They have pieces. No, they have held position. Okay.
Oh, pieces of
this is to
players.
satisfy a forfeit, right? So
A piece is a player's piece.
the player has pieces, dime pieces at that. Held positions. So forfeit.
Isn't the player just a constraint on the piece, like who owns it? 'Cause you can't really take. It's my
What's that?
piece. I don't know. I was just to say, isn't the player the piece prescribed a player? Like the piece belongs to a player, its own, versus a player having the pieces. I don't know. It's another one of those weird things where maybe my brain's
Well,
inverting it.
when you're playing a game, you care about. Oh, hold up.
When you're playing a game,
It's material
how do you identify a
and held
piece?
position. Well, it's game state, and then you just run a filter on each piece that belongs to the player. So the player would have. Hold up.
I would think that
Does
the
it?
player has a color and the piece has a color, and the constraint is that a player may only move something that matches their color. That's both true for chess and for checkers, right? Yeah. I guess you could call it player identifier or something like that if you wanted to be abstract about it. But in this thing, it is literally based on color, right? You
Well,
would say for chess or checkers, like if you were playing blind people and you were like you say you're white or you're black or red or whatever. I mean, but a piece will have a color. So you'd
oh,
have.
hold up. So originally, a piece was the name of the piece, like a bishop, and the description was the color.
I was just trying to make it so that when you have your players modeled, that I can be white and you can be black. So so the
Yeah.
pattern matching works.
Unfortunately, white always goes first.
I'm just kidding. That's because of our privilege.
Yes. All right. I
I'm
think.
surprised chess hasn't changed that rule just to be woke. Like we're changing the
Was it you that told me that
historic.
master slaves? Was it you that told me that master slave metaphor is no longer used in system design when it comes to like database redundancy?
Yeah,
No.
master never gets used anymore. Well, that I don't know. There was something that there was a lot of backlash during the George Floyd thing where a lot of stuff changed, but that's why GitHub is now main instead of master for the branch. You don't have a master branch anymore. Even if you talk about old hard drives, you'd have a master and slave hard drive. That's you just you're not supposed to talk in master slave terms because it's triggering. I don't know. I don't know what they changed it in S&M to though. So maybe it's fine in S&M.
So this, are you sure a player only has color, and I should leave out material and game state?
Well, I guess so you're right. So then a move would have to be include the requesting player, right? Because then you'd have enough information. I'm just thinking about like the information that you're required to execute the move. So you have to know the current state, the entire current state of the game board. You have to know where the position is that you're pulling from the piece from, and where you're targeting, and you have to know the player to know whether the position containing that piece matches the player, right? But yeah, otherwise, player is just I'm the black player, the white player, or whatever. I guess
A
maybe
player
a
always
player
has
doesn't have
material.
color, but maybe a player doesn't have color, but even then, the material could be, you know,
It could be
just
inferred.
let's take the color. Let's take color out of it for a second. You have some sort of player identifier, right? And maybe you don't even need to have a concept of the player. Maybe the player is just the identifier. It's like it is just that. It's the white or black. You know, maybe the color isn't it. It's player one, player two, and then you literally have a material,
Still did this
um,
wrong.
two
It's just this right
materials
here.
and a game board. One that belongs to player one, and one belongs to player two, and the ownership is a captured type thing, right? So your game
This
state should have two materials, right?
material's not being used anywhere. Yes, it is. It's in game
It will
state.
be. It'll be the pieces that you put into it. Yeah. So yeah, you got player
So,
one, player two.
so how do we resolve player? Is it just piece sequence, and then the interpreter can infer who's white and who's black based on what the player
Why don't you just make
captured?
player? You could just make player a string if you're gonna have it be like,
It was
because
a
you don't.
color last time.
But yeah, yeah. The value of player is a color.
So change it back again.
No. I'm wondering if you just make player be like so it's like an identifier, right?
I mean, you can infer a player has material that they captured. Whatever they capture, you can infer what color they are because the material has a color property because it's a piece.
Yeah, I think what I was saying is maybe you kind of invert this and you say that player is player one or player two, and that's what you just do. And pieces have player one or player two on them, and material has as a location has player one, player two, which you've already modeled, sort of. Um, and a move is made by a player, which is player one or player two, and the piece could be player one or player two. I mean, versus color, because what else do you need to know about the player unless you want to store stuff like name or something like that on them, you know, which is sort of irrelevant for the actual core of the gameplay. So if you had player equal player one, player two, then your piece gets a player is you're like the owning player. The material has is a captured spot for player one or player two. I guess I don't know how you would model this in F sharp, but um, I mean, you could even have it so that the material, like there's two material locations or two dump piles, one belonging to player one and one player two, or capture piles. You know, there's so many ways you could dice this, slice this, man. Do you get what I'm saying? Saying
Am I supposed to say player one, player two is a player is a discriminated union of pieces? I don't know. I'm
I
tapping out.
don't think that makes sense, man.
Yeah, let's step out. I didn't realize
Oh
how
man, we're already
complicated
like
it
way
is.
the hell over.
I didn't realize
No,
how complicated
we're making
a
it
board set.
overcomplicated. It'd be so easy if you just go and do it. I mean,
Well, I mean, this is simple.
yeah.
Execute, forfeit.
Well, that's the
It's
standard
just
game loop. That's a standard game loop if you look at it. It's minus the draw piece, but it's you have a previous state, you have a move, and then you have a new state. It's a standard game loop.
I wanted to do this. I wanted to do this in Rust, but outside of that, I don't really have a desire to learn programming anymore. I'm more into like solutions. I have this fat cybersecurity book that I'm like halfway through, and I'm starting to tap out. I haven't read it in like 2 weeks. It's like cybersecurity architecture.
Yeah,
It's very dry. It's like 700 pages. It's like 700 pages, and I haven't read it in like 2 weeks. I got to like page like 300, and I was like, I'm done.
What are the names of the characters they use in cybersecurity? They're like
CIA-T.
No, I'm talking like they always like have like your attacker gets a name, your victim gets a name. It's like Mary and Paul.
Personas.
Yeah. Don't they use a standard set of names for those kinds of things? Like,
yeah, I'm not sure.
I feel like cyber security persona.
The attacker's probably Tyrone. What was the other one?
The victim.
The victim's probably Becky. The innocent white woman. Tyrone is the attacker.
Yeah, and then you've got the
or Tyreek.
Then you've got the security framework named Chuck. I don't know. Charles in
charge.
Yeah.
I didn't know. This week went by
What's the whitest
fast.
man name? Adam.
Timothy. No.
Tim.
No, because I know black people named Tim.
Kyle.
I know Becky or Heather is the whitest female name.
I don't think of Becky as a white name. I mean, I do think of it as a white name, but not a strictly white name. Because I think I don't know, but that Beyonce song "Becky with the Good Hair," I just assumed that that's a black woman that she's talking about.
I would say Delbert, but I have an uncle named Delbert.
Dilbert.
Delbert.
Oh,
Delbert. Like it would have to be like something. You have to pick an Amish name for it to be like the most authentic white name. Like Jebediah. There you go.
Jebediah. No, that could be that sounds like a black person's
Amish.
name too.
Jebediah.
Yeah.
No black woman is going to name their son Jebediah.
Not anymore, but if you go back to like
black women name their daughters after cars: Porsche, Mercedes,
Ferrari, Ford.
Yeah, they for whatever reason they name their kids after luxury items.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Or drinks, Jameson, Bailey. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to.
Jose.
I'm trying to imagine what black people would be if it weren't for the slave trade. I can't.
Probably look at Africa.
Yeah, but I mean, Africa was destroyed from exploitation. Why did they exploit Africa? Why didn't they exploit Asia? Or they did, but
diamonds. And the Asians fight back harder. They have gunpowder too.
Yeah.
No, they did. I mean, look at.
I mean, I know they did. I thought.
The problem is that I think that not the problem. The thing.
Well, they were more united.
The Japanese were a pretty strong force. Actually, the Chinese even had the largest navy at one point back in like the olden times. Then another emperor came in and burned it all down for some weird reason.
Well, I would say the difference was Africa is very tribal and not really
Europe's super
organized.
tribal. It was.
Well,
Actually, still is.
but the Europeans in general were the conquistadors. They were the ones on conquest, like just taking over stuff, colonizing stuff,
But I mean, internal to them,
spreading their seed
though.
all over the place. What's up?
But internally, like to Europe, France and England, I mean, they're like a channel apart, and they're not even that different, but they're way different. And they were very tribal, and they were at war with each other for many years. The 100 Years' War.
Yeah, that's a fair statement.
Actually, that's why port wine exists, I guess. Is that the English and the French were at war with each other, so English stopped drinking French wine, so they imported wine from Portugal, but it would go bad on the trip over, so they fortified it with brandy
How's
to make
wine?
it survive
How
the
does
trip.
wine go bad?
I don't know. It's probably shit wine.
Yeah, but how does it go bad? It doesn't expire.
I don't know, man. It's
Okay.
maybe shit was just shittier back in the day. I don't know.
Well, one thing I do know about Europeans is the they brought vermin to almost everywhere. They brought pigs and they brought rodents everywhere.
Well,
That's probably the second biggest consequence of conquest.
yeah.
So,
Although the rats get a bad name, so if you look at
and they brought the German roach too. Hold up, but I was told that I think I read somewhere the German roach isn't really from Germany. I just read this.
probably from somewhere else.
But they're the most reproductive, maintenance heavy pests within the roach family. So, yeah, I gotta get with OD for another tech conception. I don't have anything. Is there anything else in the comments? Nope. We have 13 observers. Somehow, man, I got really successful because I went from one observer to like over a dozen.
That's just Gambler writing multiple bots to listen to us, so that
YouTube Premium.
Yeah.
Wine does have sulfates inside to preserve it. Does it mean solvents?
Sulfates.
So maybe the port wine is an alternative to. How do you preserve alcohol? It's alcohol. That's the part that I'm confused about.
Well, wine gets corked and stuff, doesn't it? It goes bad.
Sulfites. Sulfites are compounds that contain sulfite ion. If that's correct.
But they fortify wine. So they stop the fermenting process early with brandy. So they kill the yeast, and then it keeps it fresh, and it's a much sweeter wine. So port wine is really good tasting. I don't know if you've ever had it, but it's super good. It's sweet.
You have any plans for the weekend before we wrap up?
Yeah, my daughter's got a taekwondo camp, I guess. So it's gonna be a whole thing. I guess we got to sit around for hours.
She's learning taekwondo in one weekend, or she's belonged to it for a while.
She's in it for a while. She's a brown senior belt now, so she's got red and then black after that. So
okay.
They're not. It's very targeted towards kids, so they're not like hardcore in any stretch of the imagination. But
she doesn't practice on the dog.
No. Yeah. See there, Gamor says alcohol will be turned into vinegar if it's left untreated or unfortified. So sulfites keep it as probably that way. But that was the thing, is like that. If you up the alcohol content enough, it just stays that way. Beer goes bad. Wine lasts a long time, but anyways.
No, I didn't know that.
How about you? Any big plans?
No, there was a huge rainbow yesterday.
That wasn't a rainbow. That was a sundog.
I love rainbows. I'm all about rainbows. And
where did I see that on? Is that on Twitter that you put that?
I'll upload it on Twitter.
Or X?
But it was weird because yeah,
That wasn't a rainbow.
okay.
It
What
looks like
was
a
it?
sundog, which
What's a
is weird because
sundog?
a sundog I don't expect to see. Look up a sundog and look at pictures of sundog. It looks well, maybe it is a rainbow. No, there's a rainbow. It's just like a double rainbow.
It
I didn't see the
was.
color shadings.
It was huge. I swear to God, it stretched about probably 10 to 12 miles, and it was one on top of the other, and it looked like an alien portal. It lasted about 15 minutes, and then it dissipated.
Yeah, this is what like a sundog looks like.
Let me see what you're talking about. What is a sundog?
But I thought it was only in very frigid temperatures that you see sundogs. But
The
you
the
don't see the colors, so I would assume this was a rainbow, but
no, the photo doesn't give it
it looks like a
due
sundog though.
diligence. A sundog or a mock sun, also called a something I can't pronounce in meteorology, is an atmospheric optical phenomenon that consists of a bright spot to one or both sides of the sun. Two sundogs often flank the sun with 22 halo. Yeah, it looks like these images that I'm googling.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was a sundog. But I saw the
But
color shades in there, so it's probably not a sundog. But
no, but here's the difference though. Hold on. So let me present. So here's the difference. So if we look at this stuff, it looks like this, but the difference is the sun sets in the west
yeah,
and the ocean is in the east. So the sun is on the opposite side, and it looks like a sundog based on all these photos is the sun is inside the rainbow or is on the same side of the rainbow, and that wasn't the case yesterday.
yeah. Like I said, I don't think it's a sundog because I saw the colors in it, so it's a rainbow. But
It
it
looked
reminded me of
cool.
sundog because of the way that the arcs work on it, and it was so bright. But sundogs are really neat.
I felt like I was on the movie set of what's that alien movie that came out? I think in like '98 or '99. Uh, I can't remember
Independence
the
Day?
alien movie. No. It was no.
What kind of aliens? There's lots of aliens movies.
There's not a
We're
lot of
talking about
alien
illegal. We're
movies.
talking about illegal aliens.
It's the one. It's the alien movie where you don't really see the alien.
Aliens?
But there,
No, that was
it's the
pretty
alien
funny.
where it's the alien movie where they don't show the aliens. But
Oh,
like they're trying to communicate via like I don't know if it's radio signal or
was
I
it
can't remember. It stars a lady.
Stars the lady? Was it called Oh, like not Awaken, but it's something like that. It's like look at it. Was it Natalie Portman in that movie?
Oh, you mean
Uh,
Sidney Poitier? No, it was not him.
um,
Alien movie.
that wasn't
I
from
got
the
to.
'90s though.
It, it, it was late '90s. I was working at the movie theater.
Oh man. Oh, I think I know what you're talking. Were the satellites, the pictures of
Yeah,
the satellite? Okay. Alien movie. Was it
I,
called
we have.
Contact?
It could be.
No.
I'll know it when I see the cover.
Contact, maybe.
Yeah, let me see. Let me pull it up.
1997 film, Contact. Sigourney Weaver. Yeah, that must be it.
Yeah, I felt like I was on the movie set of Contact. It was surreal, dude. I mean, I took video of it, and I was like the only person. I was like one out of three people on the beach because it literally finished like raining, and I was stuck under a pavilion because I got caught in the rain after working out.
It's not It's Sigourney Weaver. It's Jodie Foster. Derp.
I was about to say Sigourney Weaver. She aged well.
She was in Alien, but Yeah, Gamler got it contact correctly. Yeah.
Gambler knows everything.
No, he didn't know I before E except after C. Well, now he does. So now he knows everything.
I
Damn it.
want to put Gambler and Trivia head to head, or Gambler and
Odie?
Odie head to head on Trivia. See who wins.
Have a trivia game night show whatever.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. All right. Well, I guess I should act like I'm working now.
Just
So,
jiggle that mouse for the next few hours. You're fine. So, all right.
yeah. See you.
Catch you next
Bye.
week. Oh, yep. Bye.
All right, everybody. See you. Thanks, Gambler.